Well, Super Tuesday provided some shock and awe, and some of the so called political experts, they're shocked. It's true. Joe Biden is back. And per usual, the experts, even the conservative ones, have got it wrong. Keep it right here, because we're about to get it right. So, did the South Carolina comeback over the weekend? Did that kick the resurgence and new life into Joe Biden? Is he now all of a sudden giving articulate speeches? Is he now clear? Is he now focused? Is he now on point? Does he now have the energy and actual message and actual policies and ideas of things that he's going to do to really fire up the base, and he's got it? No, nothing has changed about Joe Biden. What has happened is the powers that be, the DNC party bosses, i.e., the behind the scenes, the Nancy Pelosi's and the Chuck E. Cheese Schumers, have pulled their strings, used their influence, along with the Clintons, along with the Obamas, and to that donor class have said, don't worry, we're not going to let lunatic Bernie take us down forever by losing the House, never ever again being able to recover that we put this radical socialist, which they all are anyway, they just mask it better, they have better messaging, they are better liars at it. Bernie's just out there, and that's what he is. That said, I've said it before, I will say it again, and you're only getting it right here. The party bosses know, barring some type of incredible disaster, and they can't even pin the coronavirus on Trump anymore, Trump is going to win re-election. And it's poised to be in landmark proportions. So the party bosses had to decide, had to pick, who is it that we're going to have take one for the team, take a loss for the team. Enter Joe Biden. And there are several reasons for that. Bloomberg. His performance did not match the hype. Let me say that again. His performance did not match the hype. When the buildup was coming, he's going to get in, he's going to get in. The media got all excited, especially those members of the media that hate Donald Trump, which is about all of them. But even on the Republican side, the so-called real conservatives, the intellectual conservatives, they would have voted for Michael Bloomberg. The Never-Trumpers would have voted for Michael Bloomberg. Wall Street Journal would have gone for Michael Bloomberg. The mainstream Democratic establishment was ready to give the party completely over to Michael Bloomberg. And then he had his first debate, and I told you, and nobody else is talking about this, and you watch the videos, I told you that Elizabeth Warren absolutely killed him. Knocked him out the very first night. She did to him what Chris Christie did to Marco Rubio in 2016. Done, over, finished. That was the end of Bloomberg. He hasn't been able to recover unless he's got Steven Spielberg directing his videos for him, where in the video, you know, he can be anything. He can be Superman. He can fly. He can solve incredible problems. You get him on stage, you get him in front of a live audience, you get asking him real questions, and all of a sudden, just this arrogance exudes through that he just thinks he ought to be president. You know why? Because Donald Trump is, and he's a bigger billionaire than Donald Trump, and it's, at the end of the day, the electorate has figured out, on the Republican side and the Democratic side, the only reason he wants to be president is because he's a bigger billionaire with more toys than Trump, and Trump can't have the ultimate toy. I got to have it too. That's what it's all about. Bloomberg did not match up. He's got the money to keep going, which in certain ways hinders Biden, but you've got the Bloomberg effect that the party bosses said, oh my, he can't do it. He can't. Trump will eat him alive. If Elizabeth Warren could smack him around in the first debate. Can you imagine what Donald Trump would do to him in the course of the general election cycle? So, bye-bye Bloomberg. Then Joe Biden got a break, number 2, with the Bernie effect. Yes, the Bernie effect. Once Bernie officially became the front runner, well, then all of a sudden, out start coming all of this opposition research, and the party bosses knew immediately, ooh, Donald Trump and his team, they are ready for the commissar. They are ready for Bernie. You know, out come all these old videos that, gee, magically, all of a sudden, YouTube didn't have disappear. Google didn't get rid of. All of these old videos of Bernie talking about going to the Soviet Union and Moscow, it's a wonderful city. Oh, they got great train stations. They got artwork hanging up in the train stations, and they do wonderful things for children. They even have puppet shows. It's great. It's great. You know, people are living under authoritarian oppression in the USSR, but hey, why go to Acapulco or Maui for your honeymoon when you can go to Moscow? Which is what Bernie did, along with a few lib-loons, and they came back with these glowing reports of the USSR. And all of this videotape starts resurging, and then his comments about Castro. And then you had certain members, even within the liberal media, like Chris Matthews, who's become the sacrificial scapegoat and been fired now. But, you know, he's in line with the Clinton wing of the Democratic Party. Says we can't have this radical socialist become our party's leader. He cannot become the president. So there was all this focus, this negative focus, this scrutiny on Bernie. Bernie didn't get this when he was running against Clinton. He got basically good positive coverage. Then for the last couple of weeks, there's been just this focus on who is Bernie? What does Bernie actually believe? How's he going to pay for any of this? I mean, he got all of this attention, and so the spotlight for a while has been off Biden because everybody just assumed he was the walking dead. You also had Mayor Pete factors in there. He was starting to garner some attention, and party bosses are giving him a serious look like maybe he could be the guy to represent the establishment. You know, what's his name? O'Rourke, the phony Latino, you know, whoever heard of an Irish Mexican? You know, Beto, the fake Latino, you know, he was out. There was anybody that could have kind of claimed that moderate lane was just underperforming. And so Mayor Pete decided to take one for the team. And I told you this before. He's got a future. He's kind of a rock star. He's very personable. Yes, he looks like Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine or Pee Wee Herman, take your pick. But he's polite. He's non-offensive. He has a way of being able to make socialism palatable, which Bernie does not have that ability. So Pete is the future. And the party bosses decided, and I'm sure this is why he agreed to back out. They sat him down and said, look, you're our future. And I promise you, in 4 years, we're going to really get behind you. We're going to fund you. We're going to make this thing happen for you. But nobody's going to beat Donald Trump right now. The economy is way too strong. And even if it's still strong at the end of his second term, people will be on Trump overload. And the Republicans are going to make the fatalistic mistake of thinking, oh, we got to find somebody different than a Donald Trump. And they're going to throw out, their usual, middle of the roaders. And then, Pete, you can run against any of those guys and mop up the floor. But we need you to step out now, get behind Joe, send your delegates and your supporters Joe's way. Do this for us, and we'll take care of you. So, again, Bloomberg, his performance didn't match the hype. All of this focus and attention that was, for the longest time, on Biden was then on Bernie. Mayor Pete was in there kind of pulling people away from Biden. Well, now Pete's out, Klobuchar's out, Elizabeth Warren, what did she prove tonight? She couldn't even win her own state. She came in third place in her own state of Massachusetts. I heard Chris Rock say when Al Gore didn't win Tennessee against George W. Bush, when you don't win your own state, it's kind of like your mom not giving you a job reference. Think about it. So you have all of those factors. Well, now that Joe is got everybody's attention and he could do this, the focus will be back on Biden, which means the asinine, insane stuff that comes out of his mouth that shows he's either got dementia or he is really scared of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party.
We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
Now, does he really not know the words? Or was he thinking, I can't just say all men are created equal. I got to say men and women. I got to show that I'm woke. And I can't invoke endowed by our Creator. That would be a reference to God. I can't do that. So is he worried about that extreme left, which is where the party is heading? Even though they say, no, we can't let that run our party, but they're scared of the AOCs. They're scared of that. So he's got to try to somehow appease that and keep everybody fired up on that side to come vote for him. Or it's just typical Joe Biden. He doesn't know if he's running for Senate, for the presidency. He doesn't know what state he's in, what day it's in. Remember, he thought Super Tuesday was Super Thursday. Biden is the setup man for the fall. The party bosses, they have looked everything over. Because Bloomberg can't perform, because Bernie would literally mean the end of any type of democratic control of anything, because people will reject his overt socialism / communism, that it will even affect House and Senate races. They picked Joe. Joe, we need you to get on out there. We're going to circle the wagons. And I mean, in 48 hours, the endorsements that came in and the hype and the hoopla. Because he's the setup for the fall. Now, Joe Biden in the primaries right now versus Bernie, he looks like the moderate, doesn't he? He looks like, I know he sometimes says some kind of stupid things, but at least he's not the extreme radical Bernie. But when we get to the general election cycle, he's got problems. Number one, you compare him to Donald Trump, he's no longer a moderate, he's a flaming liberal. Well, you can kiss the South goodbye. You can kiss chunks of the West and the Midwest goodbye. Not to mention, because he is Joe Biden, and he's not Bernie Sanders, and the progressive left is going to again be outraged that Bernie's been denied yet again, that will suppress turnout even in states that the Democrats will win, like California. But if Biden's on that ticket, there could be enough discouragement that enough liberals, even in California, just assuming, whatever, could Trump actually steal California by getting Republicans and independents so fired up to actually go vote, because the liberals will be so underwhelmed by Joe Biden. Not to mention, Biden is going to have to run against the Trump economy. Good luck with that. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, don't you think that Donald Trump isn't playing 4D chess right now? You've got pundits. I was listening to the pundits over on PMSNBC, Rachel Madcow, and over at CNN. While they're convinced, well, obviously, the president keeps tweeting about how Bernie's being ripped off again. He's afraid of Biden. Now that will fire up some of the Democrats. Yeah. We got to make it Joe now. We got to make it Joe because Trump's afraid of him. No, he's not. No, he's not. It's called bait and switch. Bait and switch. He wants Biden. You know why? Because he gets to talk about Hunter and all of the corruption with China, with Ukraine, and all of the things that Nasty Joe was actually up to while he was vice president. That all comes back, because remember, that was what was tanking Joe Biden's candidacy. And then all of a sudden, everybody, even conservative media, stopped talking about it because all of the focus was on Stop Bernie. But see, like I said, all of that focus that was on Bernie is now going to come back on Biden. He's not going to win the general election. He is set up to take the fall. And that's what you need to know about Super Tuesday. Thanks for watching this special edition. Really do appreciate it. Make sure you give us a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Smack the bell to get notification of my next rant. And make sure you check the word all or you won't get notifications of any of my rants. Thank you, YouTube. Yeehaw.